But just to let you know, we're actually located from one end of the province to the other. So within that full network, there's 28 members and associates that we work with in those various models. We also have the Indigenous, two Indigenous health authorities. So we have Sioux Lookout First Nation Health Authority, which is located in the Sioux Lookout zone. And then we have Winnebago Area Health Authority as well, that they're also responsible for the provincial-based hospital in the James and Hudson Bay area. So they're all connected in and aligned to our network to be able to, I think, one of the reasons why it actually came into being was there was so many issues happening across our system with regards to taking a look at racism, discrimination, having I think a lack of models that were really focused on integrated care and really focused on that holistic form of wellness and healing. So what happened was all of these independent organizations from across our sector came together and said, look, we really have a strong mandate here where we're all aligned, and it makes sense that we align together and support that advocacy in numbers. And so that was really, I think, the impetus for this. So instead of having an organization that you go out and recruit members, the members really established, like, we wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the members. I would think our biggest thing as an organization is it's provided us a coordinating body to take a look at advocacy from a power and strength in numbers. So in other words, how we're able to look at things rather than having one independent voice from one of those practice models, we now have 28 voices we can bring to the table. And the different issues that we've seen across the sector, we've been able to raise those quite successfully in just even in our short period of time. We've been able to advocate for the creation of space for COVID-related funds to work on mental health and addictions type supports, to take a look at creating Indigenous specific models of care for those of our people who are being released from incarceration and needing a connection or a home base to actually receive care and get coordinated care and get that wraparound care. I would also have to say one of the strengths in this model is really also pushing forward the idea that culture is healing, culture is treatment. And that has been something prior to us coming together. That voice hasn't been that strong to be able to get that fully recognized in the aspects that we need. So that culture is healing and culture is treatment. That has become a foundation in a lot of our, any of our strategic plans, anything that we look at with regards to our advocacy, anything tied to how we look at our governance approaches. So even in some of our governance approaches right now, we're moving towards, in the beginning, we had to really do what we needed to as an organization, I think, to actually become incorporated. But now we have time to sit back and say, how do we create better structures where it's supporting those models and those frameworks that we're trying to endorse? So inclusion, how do we ensure safety in our system? How do we ensure we have traditional healing and wellness as a fundamental piece of whatever we do? How do we also promote that culture is a huge part of that prevention and promotion and treatment? So with that, we've created more recently the creation of something that's called a Knowledge Keepers Circle. So the Knowledge Keepers Circle helps us give, I think, feedback into what we're doing culturally. We also recognize that there's diversity in the Indigenous populations that we work with and serve. So for example, we know that even in First Nations themselves, there's many diversities in that. So we need to be reflective of that in the things that we're doing, as well as the different approaches that we're promoting across the province. We've ensured to have the inclusion of Inuit and Métis, also recognizing that they're part of our family and they're part of the work that we need to do and making sure their voice is not lost in that. Some of the things that we do from a primary health care delivery perspective, we're able to bring that service closer to them in hopes that we start to see better outcomes in what it is that we're doing and to have us show that positive growth in the sense of making sure people feel safe in the care that they get and they are trusting in the care that they get. We know fundamentally coming in here that everybody wants better health outcomes for Indigenous peoples. And we're not thinking that your first reaction is going to be discrimination or racism. So I said, let's change that dynamic and how we look at doing things as a collective. Let's have collective accountability in this. And that's why we really moved towards that co-design approach, because I said, we don't want you to lose your voice of who you are either and what you struggle with as a provider in making those decisions at the real time in the moment. And so I said, we know what it's like to lose a voice. So we're not going to, in this experience, let you lose your voice either. It's important for us to understand that so that we can work together collectively to change that dynamic. That in itself was a hugely transformative experience to actually have people speak openly about how they were feeling on these certain things.